Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that somewhere in the world there is a kingdom so wealthy that merchants are willing to cross one of the hardest deserts on earth just to reach it. Not because of oil, not because of diamonds, but because of gold. So much gold that for centuries people from North Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe dreamed of trading with it. Now imagine that today, most people have never even heard of this empire. No blockbuster movies, no major TV series, not even a chapter in many history books. Yet, hundreds of years ago, it stood among the wealthiest and most influential kingdoms on earth. This wasn't a legend, it was real. It was called the Mali Empire, and at its heart was a ruler whose wealth became so famous that stories about him spread across continents. But the story of the Mali Empire isn't really about one rich king. It's about trade, power, vision, and how one African empire built its fortune long before modern banks, stock markets, and multinational companies existed. So how did this empire become one of the richest in history? And why did so much of the world eventually forget it? Let's go back more than 700 years. When many people think about medieval Africa, they imagine isolated villages separated from the rest of the world. But history tells a very different story. Long before European ships began exploring Africa's coasts, vast trade networks were already connecting kingdoms across the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert wasn't just an empty stretch of sand, it was a commercial highway. Caravans made up of hundreds, sometimes even thousands of camels crossed the desert carrying goods between West Africa and North Africa. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, these trans-Saharan trade routes help connect West African kingdoms with the wider Mediterranean world of centuries. The journey was incredibly dangerous. Travelers faced extreme heat during the day, freezing temperatures at night, violent sandstorms, diseases, and the constant risk of running out of water. Yet, merchants kept making the journey because the rewards were enormous. On one side of the desert lay northern African cities where demand for gold continued to grow. On the other side lay kingdoms with access to some of the richest gold-producing regions known at the time. And right in the middle of this growing trade network, a powerful empire began to rise. Now, the gold that built an empire. The Mali Empire emerged during the 13th century after the victories of Sundiata Keita, the ruler widely regarded as the empire's founder. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Sundiata united several kingdoms and established a powerful state that controlled important sections of the trade routes across West Africa. But the empire's greatest advantage wasn't simply its military strength, it was geography. To the south were regions rich in gold, to the north were merchants eager to buy. Mali stood between them. Instead of mining every piece of gold itself, the empire controlled many of the routes through which gold was traded. That gave its rulers influence over one of the most valuable commodities. Gold wasn't the only source of wealth. Salt was equally important. Today, salt is cheap. You can buy it in almost any supermarket without thinking twice. But in the medieval Africa, salt could be as valuable as gold in some regions. People needed it to preserve food, maintain their health, especially in hot climates. According to UNESCO, cities such as Timbuktu became major commercial centers where goods including gold, salt, boots, textiles, and other products were exchanged by merchants from different parts of Africa and beyond. This trade transformed Mali into more than just a kingdom. It became an economic powerhouse. As caravans arrived from across Sahara, markets grew larger. Cities expanded, scholars traveled to learn, craftsmen found new customers, and merchants became increasingly wealthy. Unlike the image many people have of medieval kingdoms surviving only through conquest, Mali built much of its prosperity through commerce. Trade became its engine, gold became its global reputation. But while the empire itself was becoming richer, one man was about to make its name known far beyond Africa. His journey would become one of the most famous in history, and it would begin with a pilgrimage unlike anything the world had ever seen. Now, let's talk about the king who made the world notice Mali. By the early 14th century, the Mali Empire had already become one of the most important states in West Africa. But then, a new ruler came to power. His name was Mansa Musa. The word Mansa was not a person name. It was a title meaning king or ruler of Mali. Mansa Musa became emperor around 1312, although historians debate the exact circumstances surrounding his rise to power. What is clear is that during his reign, Mali reached the highest of its influence. He inherited a wealthy empire, but he did something that previous rulers had not done on the same scale. He introduced Mali to the wider world. At this point in history, many powerful kingdoms existed across Africa, Europe, and Asia. But outside West Africa, few people fully understood how wealthy Mali had become. That changed in 1324. Mansa Musa decided to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, one of the most important journeys in Islam. For many Muslims, visiting Mecca at least once in their lifetime is a deeply important religious obligation if they are able to do so. But Mansa Musa's pilgrimage was not an ordinary journey. It became one of the most famous travels in medieval history. Now the journey that turned a king into a legend. Mansa Musa traveled thousands of kilometers across the Sahara and through Egypt on his way to Mecca. And according to historical accounts, he did not travel like an ordinary pilgrim. He traveled like the ruler of one of the world's wealthiest empires. The 14th century Egyptian scholar Shihab ad-Din al-Umari, who collected information about Mali from people who had encountered Mansa Musa's delegation, recorded descriptions of the emperor's enormous wealth and generosity. Accounts describe a massive caravan carrying goods, servants, officials, and animals. Some later sources claim the processions included tens of thousands of people. The exact number is debated by historians, but there is little doubt that the journey was extraordinary. When Mansa Musa arrived in Cairo, His wealth attracted enormous attention. According to accounts recorded by Omari, Mansa Musa gave away so much gold during his stay that the value of the gold in Egypt was affected. For years, this story has often been repeated online as one man destroyed an economy with gold. But in reality, it's more complicated. Historians generally agree that the sudden arrival of large amounts of goods likely affected local gold prices temporarily. However, the exact scale and long-term impact remain debated. What is undeniable is that Mansa Musa had achieved something incredibly rare. He made the outside world pay attention to Mali. Before this journey, many people outside West Africa knew little about the empire. After it, Mali became a name recognized across major trading and intellectual centers. The story of a king traveling across continents with unimaginable wealth spread far beyond Africa. And this had another important consequence. It changed how Mali appeared on world map. Now, the map that revealed Africa's wealth. In medieval Europe, maps were not always created with the same scientific accuracy we expect today. They often reflected the knowledge, beliefs, information available to map makers. One of most famous medieval maps is the Catalan Atlas, created around 1375. On this map appears an image of a wealthy African ruler holding a golden object. Historians widely identify that figure as Mansa Musa. The map included information about trade routes, kingdoms, and important places known at that time. The appearance of Mansa Musa on such a famous map showed something significant. Mali was not a forgotten corner of the world. It was part of the global economic system of its time. But wealth was only one part of Mali's history. A true powerful empire needs more than gold. It needs institutions, cities, knowledge, and a reason for people to travel there. That place was Timbuktu. Now, the city that became a symbol of knowledge. Today, the name Timbuktu is sometimes used as an expression meaning somewhere extremely far away. But centuries ago, Timbuktu was not a place nobody knew. It was one of the most important cities in West Africa. Located near the Niger River, Timbuktu became a center of trade and learning. Merchants came there to exchange goods, scholars came there to study, students came there to learn. According to UNESCO, Timbuktu became a major intellectual and spiritual center between the 13th and 16th centuries, with important situations and collections of manuscripts. The city became famous for Islamic scholarship, attracting researchers, teachers, and writers from different parts of Africa and the wider Islamic world. Thousands of manuscripts were produced and preserved, covering subjects such as religion, mathematics, astronomy, law, medicine, literature, and history. This is one of the most important parts of Mali's history. The empire was not wealthy simply because it possessed gold. It became powerful because wealth supported cities, education, trade, and culture. But every great empire eventually faces challenges. The same trade networks that created Mali's wealth would eventually become part of reasons its influence declined. And after centuries of dominance, one of Africa's greatest empire would slowly lose its position. So what really happened? How did an empire that controls some of its world's most valuable resources eventually disappear from global attention? That is where the story takes its final turn. Now, the beginning of the decline. The Mali Empire did not disappear overnight. Like many great powers throughout history, its decline happened gradually. There was no single battle, no single decision, and no single enemy that ended Mali's dominance. Instead, several changes slowly weakened the empire's control. One major challenge was succession. Large empires often depend heavily on strong leadership. When a powerful ruler dies, the transition of power can create instability. After Mansa Musa's reign, Mali continued to be influential, but maintaining control over such vast territory became increasingly difficult. Covering different communities, trade centers, and regions with their own interests. Managing such a large territory required constant political strength, and over time, that became harder. Another challenge came from competition. The wealth that made Mali powerful also attracted rivals. New powers began rising in the region, especially the Songhai Empire. Located along the Niger River, Songhai had already been an important trading state. But under leaders such as Sonny Ali and later Askai Muhammad, Songhai expanded its influence and eventually became one of the dominant powers in West Africa. By the late 15th centuries, Songhai had taken control of important former Mali territories, including Timbuktu. The center of power in West Africa was shifting. Now, when the world's attention moved elsewhere, another major change was happening beyond Africa. The global economy was transforming. For centuries, trans-Saharan trade routes connected West Africa with North Africa and the Mediterranean world. But beginning in the late 15th century, European maritime exploration opened new sea routes around Africa. Portuguese ships began sailing along West African coasts, creating new connections between Europe and African coastal regions. Over time, international trade patterns changed. The old desert routes did not suddenly disappear, but new economic opportunities emerged elsewhere. The world was changing, and Mali's position as the center of major trade network became less dominant. However, it is important to understand something. The decline of Mali was not the disappearance of African civilization. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings about history. When one empire declines, another often rises. After Mali's decline, the Songhai Empire became a major power in West Africa. Later, other kingdoms and states continued to develop across the region. History does not move in a straight line where one civilization replaces another forever. It is a constant cycle of growth, change, and transformation. Now, how a powerful empire became forgotten. So, why do many people know about Roman Empire, the British Empire, or ancient Egypt, but know much less about Mali? The answer is complicated. Part of it comes from how history was recorded and preserved. Many European and Middle East civilizations left extensive written records that became widely studied in global education systems. African societies also produce historical records, but many traditions were preserved through oral history. In addition, colonial-era education systems often focus more heavily on European history, while giving less attention to many African civilizations. This does not mean Mali was forgotten because it was unimportant. The opposite is true. Its story was forgotten despite its importance. Today, historians continue studying manuscripts, archaeological evidence, accounts from travelers to better understand the empire's achievement. Now, the real lesson of Mali. The story of Mali is often reduced to one thing: gold. People hear about Mansa Musa and immediately think about wealth, but gold was only part of the history. The deeper lesson is about how wealth creates opportunities. Mali used its resources to build trade networks. It supported cities. It encouraged scholarship. It connected different parts of the world. Its success came from understanding something that still applies today. Resources alone do not create greatness. How a society manages those resources determines whether wealth becomes lasting influence. The story of Mali also challenges a common idea about history. Many people imagine globalization as something that began recently with airplanes, the internet, and multinational companies. But centuries ago, the world was already connected. Gold from West Africa influenced markets far away. Merchants crossed deserts carrying goods between continents. Scholars traveled thousands of kilometers searching for knowledge. Ideas, money, and culture were already moving across borders. More than 700 years ago, in a region many people today overlook, there was an empire powerful enough to capture the attention of the medieval world. An empire built on trade, an empire built on knowledge, an empire built on ambition. The Mali Empire reminds us that history is much larger than the story we are usually taught. Some of the greatest civilizations were not forgotten because they lacked importance. They were forgotten because history is often shaped by who writes it, who preserves it, and who chooses to remember it. And perhaps the greatest lesson from Mali is this: a nation's true wealth is not only found in what it owns, it is found in what it builds, what it contributes, and the impact it leaves behind long after its golden age has ended. If you enjoyed this our documentary story, do well to subscribe to our channel, like the video, leave a comment, a suggestion, a contribution if you have any, and we expect you to see you in our next video. Thank you for watching and see you next. Bye for now.